I, Tristan Petrey, am interviewing Miss Judy Petrey as a part of the Smithsonian's The Way We Worked exhibit in Florala, Alabama on May the 12th, 2014. Please state your full name and spell your last name and tell me where you live.
My name is Judy Petrey. Last name is Petrey. Petrey. Judy Petrey. Okay. And I live in Florala, Alabama.
Do you understand that you are being interviewed as a part of the Smithsonian's The Way We Worked exhibit and only consent to doing this recorded oral history?
I do.
May I proceed with the first question?
Yes.
Okay. So, you currently do live in Florala.
Exactly.
When and where were you born?
Okay, I was born in 1943 in Andalusia, Alabama.
And how was Andalusia from when you were born and growing up as a child compared to how it is now?
It was much smaller. Andalusia, fortunately, is one of the little towns that is growing in South Alabama. Absolutely.
So it was it more of a farming community, a small
Yes.
city, or?
It was a small city, farm country, absolutely, yes.
So as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an airline stewardess.
And what made you want to be an airline stewardess?
I wanted to travel the world.
Have you always had a interest in travel?
Absolutely.
So as a child, what kind of chores did you do around the house?
I had to do farm labor, which consists of picking cotton, stacking peanuts, and garden work, and milking cows, and milking goats.
So, your family had a decent amount of livestock, or they needed farming to support them usually for food
Absolutely.
and needs.
We had our own beef, we had our own pork, and we had our own chickens and eggs, and plus the farming. We grew our own vegetables, and we didn't go hungry. We worked.
So you would say that your family was pretty self-sufficient.
Absolutely.
What childhood memories do you have of your family working?
My mother worked at the Andella in Andalusia, and my dad did farm work, and then he did work for the county road department for a while.
And how did the change from farming work to, I would say, construction work, how did that affect your family, if any?
Changing from the farming to construction, sometimes he would be gone like for a week at the time, and that was kind of hard on my mother with all the children, but he kind of had to do that to support 8 children.
Do you remember hearing your parents ever talk about their work?
No, we were too tired to talk about work. We was ready to go to sleep.
What was your first job besides your house chores after you got through with your childhood? What was your first outside of your home job?
Oh, whenever my youngest son went to school, started school, I got a job with the Coca-Cola Bottling Company doing weekend countdowns for them.
Did your jobs contribute to the family income at all?
Yes, it did. It paid for our first new car.
And what was your first new car?
It was a Bonneville Pontiac.
And were your family very proud of the purchase?
Absolutely.
What do you consider to be your main occupation or career?
My main job that I've been at for 22 years is working at the public library in Florala, Alabama.
How did you decide on your career?
Well, this job kind of fell into my lap. We owned and operated a business in Lockhart, Alabama, when my younger son was in high school. He graduated from high school, left to join the military, went to Germany. We sold our business the year that he graduated, moved, and we flew to Germany to visit him. Then we traveled some. And when I came back from fishing in Canada, Mrs. Parker, the director, had left a message on my answering machine, wanted me to come to see her. I went to see her, and I have been there for 22 years now.
You said that you owned a business in Lockhart before you went for your main occupation in the library. What was your business that you owned?
We had a mom and pop store. We had groceries, and we sold gas, and we had bait and tackle, and live minnows, and live crickets, and the people bought most everything they used from us.
Did your job as a mom and pop store, did it contribute a lot to how you live now?
Absolutely. If we had not had that, we would be hurting. But we worked from at least 12 hours a day for 10 years. And you worked all the time. You didn't have any time to spend your money, so you saved it.
How did you train for your major occupation?
When I started with Miss Parker, she had been there since the earth cooled, and she taught me every trick in the book. And she and I really, really just hit it off. And then she would send me to schools at the State Library in Montgomery, and I went to all the computer classes that I could attend, and take refresher courses when they became available. And we got some of those through grants from the state, and some federal grants that would further my education as far as the library.
Do you feel as their training programs and the grants and her sending you off, did you feel like that properly had you ready for the occupation ahead?
Absolutely. And I was very conscientious, very hard working too, because I grew up working.
What type of technology did you have in the workplace?
At first, we didn't have any. We had one manual typewriter. Well, Miss Parker had a typewriter, and I had a typewriter. We had to type up every card that went in that card catalog, and had to type everything on that manual typewriter.
How did technology change as your job progressed?
Okay. Miss Parker got one computer for the office. Then later on, I got a computer for the circulation desk. Then Bill Gates gave us a computer, and we put it for the patrons. That was the first patron computer we had. And we got it up and running, and we had a reception in Montgomery. Bill gave computers to every library, he started in the state of Alabama, and he gave every library in the state of Alabama a computer. Our library, according to our population, we could only get one. So at the end, when he accomplished his ambition to get the Alabama libraries with computers, we had a reception for him in Montgomery, and I shook his hand. And I didn't wash my hand for a month, but didn't a bit of that money rub off on my hand.
As your profession in the library, the public library, what were your wages that you were paid?
Oh, I forgot to say that now we have 11 computers, and everything has really, really changed tremendously from when I started. Now, what was that question?
What was your wages that you were paid?
I do believe it was either $3.25 or $4.25. I believe it was $3.25 when I first started.
And what were the wages you were paid as an employee of the Coca-Cola company?
I was paid per job. Wasn't a certain amount. It was just per job. It's according to how many stores that I checked.
And you said that the amount of technology in the library has changed drastically over time.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
How did your work change over time?
It became much easier. We have the card cataloging is done online, and as soon as you get through, it prints out all the cards, everything. In fact, we don't even have a card catalog anymore. The card catalog is on computer, and it's 10 times faster.
What do you consider to be your most meaningful professional accomplishment?
Well, number one, I think, was working closely with the schools as to what the children needed to read, and I got our library started to get all the accelerated reader books that the children needed. And their summer reading, required reading, I accomplished getting that in our library. And the second accomplishment, I would say, is getting the library set up for ebooks. And now all of our patrons can go online, download the ebooks, and my library gets credit for every ebook that they read. And I thought that was amazing, just absolutely amazing.
So, large events like wars, natural disasters, and other types of natural or international disruptions usually have a large change or influence on people's lives and careers. Do you think that any of these large events or any other ones have had a impact on how you worked or how you lived?
The largest impact is when they started sending all of our work overseas. I have seen our lumber yards close down. I have seen the shirt factories close down. All the stores have shut down, and Florala has just gone downhill. And in the past 10 years, it has just been a nosedive, downhill.
As you were saying that Florala, like any other small city or town, took a very hard crash when they sent most of our labor overseas. Have you noticed any huge changes to small towns like this over the last couple of years?
Absolutely. The people don't have any work to do, and most people take pride in their work. And when you've done a hard day's work, you feel proud of yourself. And without that pride, I have seen drugs take over, and people have no respect for each other anymore, and they break in houses. And if we had our jobs back, people would have more pride. And people have turned away from God too. They've just kind of give up.
Do you remember any type of labor strife or problems being with workers against management or any kind of organized labor?
I did not, but my mother worked at the Altex in Andalusia, and she belonged to a union. Personally, I don't like organized labor because I believe that people should have freedom of choice. If they want to join a labor union, that's okay with me. But if you don't, A person that does not want to, they get harassed until they do. They're called scabbies and all kind of other names, and they're kind of forced to join the labor unions.
So, how do you feel about the future of work in the United States?
It's not good until we get our jobs back from these foreign countries. This country is going downhill, and all of our politicians beat around the bush about nothing, and they need to be getting our jobs back. Give a man a decent job so he can do a decent day's work for a decent pay.
What words of advice would you give to future generations about their careers?
I would tell the younger generation to get a college degree and work. Don't be afraid of work. Get you a job, work, get your college degree, and work some more.
What is your opinion on why many people believe that the standard of living today is actually a lot worse than the standard of living back when you were a child?
We had respect for our fellow man, and we were honest, and we didn't steal, and we didn't do drugs, and I just think we believe in God. This country's got to where they don't believe in God, and if you leave God out of the picture, then you're in trouble. And I feel sad for this country. I really do. I worry about my grandchildren. We've got to have a total turnaround in this country.
Many people now believe that the standard of work, as many people search for employment or any type of job for that matter, it has become weaker than the search for employment back when you were a child. Why do you think that the idea of work to kids and younger adults nowadays is not as acceptable as it was back when you were a kid?
There's too much government handout, and too many people getting on disability that needs to be out there working. When my husband worked for Coca-Cola Bottling Company that 20 years, I have put his shoes on him because his back was so bad that he could not put his shoes on to go to work. But he went to work. He was not sitting around waiting for the government to give him a handout. We all worked. And until this country learns how to get back to work and the government stays out of our business, and let the people work. That's how I feel about it.
Do you feel that technology is a greater good in the force of work, or do you feel as if it is weakening the sense of hard labor?
I think that technology is absolutely wonderful when it is used right. And I'm all for technology. I love it. Absolutely. But I know people come to our library and do job searches, and I think that's good. But there's some people that don't know how to use a computer. That's another thing I like about having our library is we help people do job searches, and we help people any way that we can. And if we didn't have technology, they wouldn't have that.
Do you feel like the sense of entitlement is a lot stronger with these future generations than they were with your generation?
I do. I really do.
Well, thank you, Miss Judy. I think that's all we need, and I appreciate the time you give for this interview. Is there anything else you would like to add before we finish this interview?
No, I think we're pretty well covered it. People go back to work. And
Yes,
the government stay out of their business.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.